comes to the guns. And speak to Jonah's point, Nancy, because you tell me if you thought it was a good one, though, that, even if Congressman Pete King's law had been in effect about you can't get within 1,000 feet of the congressman if you have a gun, Jared Lee Loughner wasn't going to obey that.
I completely agree with that point, okay? Because he was unstable. So where we disagree is that for Jonah to say that there is no effect of all this anti-government rhetoric and that speech does not somehow mobilize unstable people to do these things.
Did it do that in this case? Do you have any evidence that it did that in this case, Nancy?
There's lots of cases through our history.
Did it do that in this case?
The authorities think that a lot of his political philosophy was anti-government. There's a lot of it was jarbled, but it was predetermined that he was going after this congresswoman. You're not stating the facts correctly, because I asked the sheriff himself, who's the one who got this all started with that accusation, do you have any facts, any evidence that would suggest that Jared Loughner was a consumer of talk radio, of television, of any of this so-called vitriol that you have a problem with, Sheriff? And he said, no, it is pure speculation on my part. He was very honest about that, Nancy. Well, you know what? It's kind of like common sense, Megan, that this is going to happen because so much of this anti-government stuff is going to mobilize people. We can go back to
that's fine. If you want to have that argument, you can have that argument.
Too many guns. If you want to launch a new rhetoric.
But let me get Jonah, and then I'll go back to you, Nancy.
If you want to launch a new campaign about political rhetoric and all of that, that's fine as far as I'm concerned. But it is ghoulish, cynical, and opportunistic to use this slaughter when everybody who pays any attention to the facts knows that there's no evidence, zero evidence, linking this slaughter to the speech by Sarah Palin or anybody else. So what people are basically doing is they are ideological ambulance chasers, ghoulishly feeding off of this misery in order to score cheap political points. Everyone from Paul Krugman and Keith Olbermann on down should be deeply ashamed of what they're doing. It is disgusting. And all of these rules and new standards that people are trying to apply now would have ruled out most of the speech by Move On and all those guys under Bush.
Quickly, Nancy.
That there is no connection, there's no cause, no effect in society of our actions. That's a ridiculous proposition. That there is not cause and effect out there, and we know that. We know that there's some talk show hosts out there.
But he's saying the same thing.
Usually
Jonah's saying if you want to have that debate, let's have that debate. That's fine. We can talk about that. But to link it to this case is disingenuous. That's his point. I'll give you the last word on it, Nancy.
Well, this guy had a lot of anti-government rhetoric going on, but he was unstable. So, yeah, there's some connection.
But the Communist Manifesto was also his favorite book.
He read lots of...
He didn't like the government's grammar.
And he was mostly... He didn't like the government. He was anti-government.
That makes him a right-wing.
He didn't like George Bush either. He didn't like the Iran and Iraq war. He didn't like Afghanistan. He didn't like any of that stuff.
That has tended to be the Tea Party flavor of the day. Hate the government. Got to stop the government. That's been their
paranoid schizophrenic, and what you're doing is disgusting,
with her crosshairs
okay,
over.
I gotta go. We've gone off the rails now. We've really gone off the rails. Now we are really disconnected from the facts as we know them. But thanks both for being here, Jonah and
Thank you.
Nancy. Well,